Grammy-nominated artist Nicki Minaj is facing a shocking lawsuit for battery filed by her former tour manager, Garett. The lawsuit alleges that Minaj unleashed her temper and even her husband, who is currently on house arrest, on Garett during her tour. Though 2025 has just begun, things are already looking grim for Minaj, with criminal charges looming large. There's even talk that she could spend the rest of the year behind bars. Nicki Minaj, who usually dominates her legal battles, appears to be on the losing side this time. Fans have noticed her unusual silence on social media since the tour ended, fueling speculation that she may have anticipated the charges and chosen to lay low. Reports suggest the alleged incident took place during her Pink Friday 2 tour, adding weight to the rumors that she may have known trouble was brewing. Initially, Brandon planned to file a civil lawsuit seeking financial compensation. However, in a dramatic twist, he opted to pursue criminal charges instead, saying he wanted Minaj to get a taste of that jail food. This isn't the first time Nicki has found herself in the middle of controversy, but this case could have serious consequences. Brandon claims he was working as a day-to-day manager during her tour, but things allegedly turned violent on April 21st in Detroit. According to him, Minaj attacked him multiple times backstage, supposedly because he failed to complete certain errands. However, Brandon insists he had already finished the tasks and was on his way back when he received a message from the head of security, Larry Dayan, instructing him to meet Nicki in her dressing room. When Brandon arrived, he says he found 8 members of Minaj's team already waiting, including Dayan himself. What happened next, according to Garett, turned a routine interaction into a chaotic and violent encounter, one that has now spiraled into a full-blown legal battle. The situation reportedly escalated further when another employee, Luke Montgomery, and Minaj's former manager, Deb Antony, yes, Waka Flocka's mother, became involved. As soon as Brandon entered the room, Minaj allegedly began cussing him out, loudly complaining to her team about the lack of organization. She ranted about staff not knowing their responsibilities or understanding the chain of command. While venting her frustrations, Nicki turned to Luke, demanding to know his role in the situation. Brandon attempted to explain that he had assigned Luke to pick up prescriptions because he himself was busy handling his primary tour responsibilities, namely assisting Nicki with quick changes during performances. But Minaj wasn't having it. According to Luke, his duties during the tour included tasks like setting up venues, dressing rooms, private jets, hotel rooms, quick change areas, and refreshments for the tour bus. He also managed personal requests from Minaj, as communicated by Brandon, which included food and drink orders, personal items, baby supplies, and of course prescriptions. Despite these clarifications, Minaj reportedly dismissed the explanation entirely. Brandon claims his efforts to clarify only seemed to fuel Nicki's anger. He alleges she became visibly upset, angrily shouting at him. According to the complaint, Minaj yelled statements like, "Are you fing crazy? Having him pick up my prescription? If my husband were here, he would knock you the F out. You just messed up your entire life, and you'll never work for anyone else. I'll make sure of it." The outburst didn't stop with Brandon. Luke, the employee tasked with picking up the prescription, reportedly received similar treatment. Minaj allegedly turned her fury on him, delivering an equally intense verbal tirade. The tension in the room was palpable, as Minaj's anger seemed to spare no one involved in the situation. The situation reportedly took an even darker turn when Nicki allegedly began yelling at Luke, demanding to know the exact day he picked up the prescriptions and which prescriptions they were. When Luke admitted he couldn't remember, she ordered him to search through his phone until he found the details. This escalated tensions further. After some time spent searching unsuccessfully, Luke offered to hand his phone to Nicki so she could look for the information herself, a move that, according to reports, infuriated her even more. Nicki then allegedly approached Luke, getting very close to his face while continuing to berate him. It was at this point that things became physical. According to the complaint, Nicki struck Brandon with an open hand on the right side of his face, causing his head to snap backward and his hat to fall off. He also alleges she hit him on his right wrist, leaving it throbbing in pain. After the alleged assault, Nicki reportedly kicked him out of the room. In a state of shock, Brandon ran to a nearby restroom, locking himself inside for hours to process what had just happened. As if the alleged attack wasn't enough, Brandon claims he was fired the same night. While still locked in the restroom trying to recover, he says he received a message from someone on Nicki's team informing him that he would not be joining her at the next tour stop in Chicago. After After gathering the courage to leave the restroom, Brandon collected his belongings and took an Uber to the Detroit airport. Before leaving, he contacted the Detroit Police Department to file a police report. However, officers told him that he would need to appear in person to make a formal report. Brandon explained that he had already booked a flight to Chicago and requested a police escort to his hotel, as he feared for his safety and was unsure if his belongings had been tampered with or removed. Brandon eventually filed an official report in Detroit and is now seeking punitive, exemplary, and general damages. While it's clear Nicki Minaj allegedly putting her hands on this man was out of line, some argue that Brandon was wrong to delegate something as sensitive as picking up her medicine to someone random. Handing over private information like that without proper discretion is far from professional. However, that doesn't justify Nicki's alleged actions, if she indeed struck him, as claimed. As expected, Nicki tried to defend herself through her lawyer, who dismissed the claims as baseless. The lawyer stated, "At this time, no complaint has been served upon Ms. Petty, and therefore we are unaware of the specific allegations. However, the lawsuit, as reported by TMZ, is completely false and frivolous. We are confident that the matter brought by this ex-assistant will be resolved swiftly in Ms. Petty's favor." But just when it seemed like the situation couldn't escalate further, TMZ reported that the Detroit Police Department had issued an arrest warrant to the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office. They are now determining whether criminal charges against Nicki are warranted. If the request is approved, criminal charges will be filed immediately, and an arrest would follow. Amid this growing drama, speculation is swirling that Nicki might consider settling with Brandon to avoid the potential fallout of criminal charges. If these allegations hold any weight, settling could be her best move to minimize the damage and put this scandal behind her. If Brandon decides to fully pursue this case, Nicki Minaj could face a very real possibility of jail time. It's worth noting that Brandon filed the police report on the same night the alleged attack occurred. This timing suggests he may have had visible injuries that officers could have documented, potentially strengthening his case against her.